The reality of getting a tech job in 2023 and 2024 is that it's not easy. It becomes even harder if you recently graduated college and are looking for an entry-level role. A couple years ago, it seemed that FAANG companies were hiring anyone with a pulse. Now, you open the news and see headlines like Amazon laid off 9,000 employees, LinkedIn will eliminate 600 positions, Google, Cisco, Binance, all of these large tech companies are slowing their hiring and or eliminating tech roles. So, is it even possible to get a job in this tech market anymore? In this video, I'll be explaining why we are seeing the tech hiring freeze in the first place and how to overcome it and get hired. Let's get started. To understand why companies are laying off employees and eliminating positions, we have to go back a couple of years. What was a couple of years ago? That's right, the COVID-19 pandemic. You probably already forgot about it. During the height of the pandemic, tech companies were seeing unlimited demand for their products and solutions. Most people stayed indoors because of the lockdowns, and because of that, remote work became the only way to work. This caused many other companies to seek out digital platforms. Think about things like Slack, Microsoft Teams, and the biggest one during the pandemic, Zoom.
So it's got to be 4 and 3. Okay, any questions before I go on from here? Great. I really understood that well.
Because working remotely depended so heavily on these platforms, the demand soared. To handle this influx of new clients and all of this feature development, companies overhired software engineers. A couple years later, as we entered the post-pandemic era, a lot of companies resumed their normal physical operations. Some people were lucky to keep working, but others had to come back into the office. Back to the office, everyone. And as consumer spending resumed, money started flowing back into things that weren't tech. So the dependence we had on all that tech during the pandemic decreased as we went back to normal levels. Capitalism is all about making the most profit. Because the demand and profit for tech companies decreased after the pandemic, all of the workers that were working during the pandemic didn't have work to do anymore. Simply put, from a capitalist perspective, if you aren't making money from your workers, it's time to start cutting them. And that's what these tech companies did. Most tech companies instituted a hiring freeze and started laying off workers that they overhired during the pandemic. Really, what we're seeing now is a correction to the accelerated hiring event caused by COVID-19. The reality is that any job market has its ups and downs. Jobs in tech just had dramatic ups and downs because of the global pandemic. That being said, there's still a way to get a job in 2023 and 2024 and land that six-figure salary you've always dreamed of. I'll be showing you how. The first thing you need to realize is that things on the internet are biased. People who didn't get hired are more likely to complain than people who did get hired. If you've ever read the comments under an Instagram reel where they're saying that, tech is dead and you can't get a job anymore, they just don't know the secret sauce I'm about to share with you. Plus, a lot of people stating those types of things just aren't as qualified as they might think. Here's a kind of roadmap I would look at to see where you stand as a candidate for these big tech companies. First, did you graduate college? The truth is, if two resumes are identical, but one has a college degree and one doesn't, the one with a college degree is going to get hired. College not only teaches you the fundamental theory of computer science, but it also gives you opportunities to find internships, part-time jobs, and network. Now, let's say you graduated or are currently in college, and I'll get to what to do if you don't have a college degree under your belt. Anyways, the next step is to look at your work history. Did you have any internships during school? Did you have any part-time jobs? And when I mean work experience, I mean something related to software engineering. Working at McDonald's doesn't count. Why would someone hire you straight out of school if you have no experience? So let's say you don't have any experience, but you're in college. The easiest way to jump into a full-time six-figure tech job is to get an internship at any of the big tech companies. Think companies like Amazon, Microsoft, Netflix, Meta, etc. If you've already graduated college, your degree is going to help in this regard. Usually most big tech company internships open up in the fall, so you want to make sure you start applying early. These positions are limited, so if you start applying early, you have a bigger shot of getting accepted. I'll be making a separate video on how to structure your resume to get one of these internships, but in the meanwhile, if you do want specialized and personal advice, you can book a resume review with me, and I'll look at your resume and tell you what you need to change or add to increase your chances of getting an internship. The link is in the description. Anyways, I'll give you a few more ideas on how to get this internship. You have to Leetcode. Even though I don't think this is the best way to interview someone, big tech companies still use this for interviews. I recommend setting some type of schedule where you're practicing Leetcode problems and getting better, because memorizing those patterns is going to help you when you see a problem in an interview. I also recommend doing company-specific problem sets, even though that didn't really help me when I was going through my interview with Amazon, because they asked me a Google question. The second thing is projects. These days, copying a simple JavaScript calculator app is just not enough. You have to build something at least remotely thoughtful. Bonus points if it solves an actual business problem. And which internship you apply to is based on what grade you're in. This doesn't apply to you if you already graduated college though. If you are a freshman or sophomore, Google has this program called Google Step. If you get into that and do well, you're bound to get subsequent internships and then eventually a full-time offer as you graduate. Other internships prefer juniors and seniors, so you can return to them full-time if you did well during the internship and work for them. Now, if you do have experience or a degree, or you're in school and you have a resume, but you're still not getting interviews, you have to reevaluate something. Either you have to reevaluate how good your resume is, and I can help you with that, or you have to evaluate how you're applying to these jobs. The secret to get someone to actually look at your resume at a big tech company is to get an internal referral. Tap into your network. If your friend's dad, friends, sisters, mother, father knows someone that works at a big tech company, see if you can get their contact and ask them for a referral. You have to have a good resume at this point though. That brings me to my next point, networking. If you're in college right now, you need to network. Talk to people, go to events, go to career fairs, and just network. Keep your LinkedIn updated and just run up connections. You'll find it much easier to get a job through someone you know rather than just cold applying on these companies' portal. I'll give you an example. When my full-time FAANG offer got pushed back 6 months, I didn't want to be unemployed during that half year. So I tapped into my connection. One of my friends just got an internship at a company through someone he knew, and I asked him if he could get me in contact with that person. That person ended up interviewing me the next day because they really needed to fill that role. I got an offer in literally just 2 days because I knew that person. People say it's about who you know and not what you know, and while I think it's both, it definitely weighs more on the who you know part. Now, let's say you have a good network or you found an opportunity. You still need a good resume. I'll give you a quick rundown on what type of stuff you want to put on your resume. But if you want more specialized advice, go down in the description and book a resume review with me. So here are a couple tips for your resume. First of all, make sure the jobs on there are relevant to what you're applying for. A tech recruiter is not trying to see, again, that you worked at McDonald's or you worked anywhere that wasn't a tech company. They're looking for keywords that's gonna fill the job description. Another tip, a lot of people tell you to condense your resume down to 1 page. And this is true if you don't have a lot of experience, but once you reach a certain point where you have multiple tech jobs, that 1-page rule just goes out the window. Several years into your career, your resume will probably span several pages. Even though I'm giving you the secret sauce right now, I'll sauce it up even more by giving you a bonus tip. Competition. If you do something like a hackathon or a competitive programming competition and you actually place somewhere in the top 3, that's definitely something you should put on your resume. Also, if it's a coding competition from a big tech company and you do well enough, they might actually offer you a job. Just be warned though, this is not easy and you have to be actively practicing algorithms and Leetcode. Anyways, that's the reality of getting a tech job in 2023 or 2024 or whatever year you're watching. I hope my tips and examples help, and I wish you the best in all your future endeavors. Make sure you hit that like button and subscribe for more videos like this. I'll see you in the next one.